on a Monday night, and we're coming to you early just to make up for all those other times. A man ahead of his time has got to be late every chance he gets to take the average out of it.
That didn't work when I got stopped by the cops and told him I stopped twice at the last stop sign.
We know it all works to your advantage in the long run, David.
You just have to tell him you didn't have the intent of rolling past the stop sign.
I certainly
It'll
didn't.
give you the Hillary Clinton let-off.
No prosecutor in the right mind. Hey, we're back again for another exciting edition of 3D Politics. Tom McKay, your most amazing host here. I've got all three Davids early and ready to roll. The most important Davids in Oklahoma. I got David Vann, David Oldham, and David D'Ambroso here with the 3D Politics gang. I'm Tom McKay, your fantastic host. And guess what? Mayor Bynum stood strong today against the throngs wanting him to go wild on a national search to bring someone from out of Tulsa, but he said, oh, no, really? And to me, I think it's a whole fake fight. There's a big fake group of people trying to pretend that they're pressurizing the mayor, and the mayor's pretending that he's tough because they all want the same thing, is to nationalize the search. But thankfully, it looks like they're going to go ahead and pick a local guy.
I want to know, is Johnny Cochran one of the finalists?
I don't know.
He's getting a little old.
But they keep,
That's fine with them.
But literally, in the news today, they were talking about how the ranks of the officers play out a certain way, but there is one black guy. So
O.J.
now,
Simpson?
So now the race...
Always one.
But the point is the concept of the news that the race may trump the level of service and the level of accomplishment as the rank. So at some point, wouldn't you think in a police station, you would want the higher rank to take on the higher position? But now, just simply having a skin color may qualify you for that. It competes with rank.
Well, now that's leftist theory for over 60 years at this point.
I'm just
It's
catching
not
on.
new.
Well, at least GT is standing, tall as he can behind, picking a guy local.
Well, the last people I saw pick someone of lower rank to take over, it was the Gambino circuit of the mafia. What was the guy's name? The Teflon Don.
Yeah,
he
that was Gotti.
John Gotti shot his way to the top.
So we've got a lot of things to talk about. We're going to talk to Oldham about the trip to New Jersey. We've got a story about milk and also a school lunch program story. But before we get there, I want to talk more about this mayor deal. You know about the live PD show?
Yeah.
And they want him to take away the live PD show. What's your thoughts on that, David's?
If you don't get physically ill like I do when you watch Live PD and Cops and Police Nation or all those different shows, check your morals.
Gosh.
No. The reason is because virtually every single show, has numerous violations of rights. And originally, when they pulled it, it was because the cop violated this man's rights at the trunk of his car and was violating his rights. And the man pushed back, rightly so, and told the cop where he could stick it. Pretty much.
And what was that, David?
And I know
public morals.
I know this man. He ended up back in therapy for his mental health. It triggered an instability in his severe mental health.
Well, and so the thing is, and this leads to my whole problem with GT Bynum and the that board he was trying to set up, that civilian review board and all of that. It's all an excuse to get him out from having to actually perform his job and exercise his duty to his oath of office. And that is to fire somebody who's not doing their job, to rein in the police force and make that police force constitutional. It's not happening. It's not going to happen anytime soon until we, the people, stand up and say, it's got to happen. It's got to happen now.
More
precisely
to the show itself, philosophically, the argument is that this police show is for entertainment purposes.
Well, and it's the worst form. Tom, when my grandmother married into the Van Rissichem family, her mother-in-law sat her down in a lecture at the farmhouse, and said, "You never go into town with an apron on, with a dirty dress on, or without your hair fixed up. You're a Van Risseghem now. You are to be seen as a Van Risseghem." You know, it's this whole deal, right? Well, you imagine if at the worst time possible, your family's in a crisis and you've got to get help. Are you ready to be on national TV at that moment? If you're dealing with a family member who's unstable, if you have to call the cops
Don't
on
they
your
have to sign
son,
a waiver or no
Yeah.
to release their personal likeness, their appearance on film?
I don't
know.
No, not in public.
No,
No, not in
I'm
public.
telling you, if somebody's in
No, but they do blank out some of the faces, so
It's
they're-
very interesting.
they must be, if they're convicted, it probably becomes a public domain.
it really bothers me in so many ways that and I'll just take what the civil rights leaders in North Tulsa said. They're preying on these people at the worst, most vulnerable
Yes,
time
they
in
are.
their lives, and they're making a spectacle so the rest of us can laugh at them.
Well, and it goes beyond that, because the police who are on camera end up performing.
Yeah.
And so they end up doing things they may or may not regularly do.
Like
Yeah.
juggling? What are you talking
And
about?
it's, well, they,
A lot of these calls are domestic disputes. And if a woman's having to call on a drunk husband, does she really feel like she wants to be on TV? They don't ask. They just show up with the camera crew.
well, and it's more than that. It's like the guy at the trunk. The cop, you could tell the cop kind of was doing his thing, and he was blustery, and he was saying, this is a drug thing. Look at his blue shirt.
Well,
this
yeah.
and that, the
Have
other
you
thing.
ever met a
him on.
police officer
And then-
before?
and then only afterwards did he then corroborate it with police files and justified himself.
Sure.
But he went about what he was doing, and whether or not he actually had a legitimate case or not. The complaint, especially of Live PD, has been that when they are shooting, there are more incidents with the public than normal. And the public knows, stay off the streets, stay behaved, especially during these times, because
You're
you're going
saying
to
it's a
get
good
more
thing?
police action.
It's actually, I think I see your point. It was my point against the Ed Ocules concept, that the minute that the referee has a name, they begin to perform instead of simply being part of the playing field.
Exactly.
However, to play devil's advocate for the fun of the discussion, I mean, if there are so many abuses of the Constitution that are captured on film on these shows, then can't that also be used to prove these abuses of the Constitution? You could use the same footage to show that point then.
No.
Yes and no.
I doubt that they're going to actually. Who has the editorial power here? Do the citizens? No.
He's saying that in the edited version, these constitutional violations are evidence. There they are. So
Well,
why should somebody use that as
the problem is
fodder?
The courts don't agree with Oldham yet.
We're getting there.
Well, the thing is that we, the people, have to understand this stuff, and that's why I say check your morals, because we actually inform the courts. We are the ones that make up what they do. Remember that all politicians, and judges are politicians too, they are corks in the row of the current consciousness, the current spirit of the public. So where the public is, that's where they're going to be. And so if the majority of the public is lawless, that is where the government is.
What
going
is
to
it
be.
about these people with the pocket search? Have you seen the pocket search? They're like, okay, look, I'm going to search your pocket. Okay, is there anything in your pocket that's sharp going to poke me? No, there's another. What's this hypodermic needle? Oh man, it's not mine. It's not my nerve. What's it doing in your pocket? It's
That's
not
the
my
best.
pocket.
These aren't my pants.
Well, that's not my pants. Exactly right.
It's not my shirt.
So at some point, this show could teach them how to deal with the police.
It'll teach the criminals how to lie better.
Say, these are my pants.
Well,
these are my pockets.
Well, I mean, obviously,
there's
the
a
police are
hypodermic
assuming
needle
that you
in
could
my
be lying
pocket.
to them.
Tom, your example is perfect. Is a perfect example of an unconstitutional
David?
violation.
I made a perfect example.
Because the point is that the cop has no right to be putting the the subject in jeopardy with the finding of a needle, but because it's called a crime.
Well,
when he hasn't
I'm
done
talking
anything to
about
anybody.
the pocket search after it's become. But so my to try to get through this. I remember in the 30s. Remember that, David?
Oh yeah, I remember.
And they
Those
said,
are great
hey,
days. aren't they?
let's get police cars to have radios. Why?
Yeah.
Because you can't outrun the radio. Will
Right.
end the high-speed chase.
That's
and as
right.
we know, the high-speed chases are so much fun that we're not going to end those things. And the radio's just like, here I come. Woohoo!
Well, and then came the helicopters, and that was supposed to take care of it
sure,
too.
and that'll keep
Oh,
them
it just
alive.
makes for good
So-
TV.
So so they want them to use the body cam and to have it on 24/7. And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
that's not the worst idea. But if you're going to do away with something, don't try to do away with live PD. Do away with the high speed chase. Let's get on with that radio thing. What is this?
Well,
high
it's
speed
the
chase?
TV that's making the high-speed chase off.
Well, there's your performance. It's bullet all over
somewhat.
again.
Somewhat.
Tom, I have a problem with the people who have to call the police in the moment of their agony. Do not ask to be a TV star at that moment. And
I
they're
agree.
not given a choice.
I agree.
I'm talking about the victims here that are saying, help me out here. I've got a drunk man in this house. I need to get him, down to the drunk tank.
you know who needs body cams is teachers. Body cams for teachers.
Notice I changed the
That's
subject.
I'm trying to end this bit.
That's a different kind of broadcast, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
burial
body-
especially.
Body
Yeah.
cams for teachers, that'd be good to clean up.
But
all
really,
that.
Tom, it's one of the higher.
I see what you're saying.
I don't have any.
So
I
the
don't
reason-
have. No, I don't have any stats for this, but I would venture to say that they like getting called on that because it makes for the more salacious drama.
Of course, sure. It turns
You
you into
know,
a star.
the men
gives
and
you
women,
that
especially if she's throwing pots and pans. Right?
Well, and let's
So-
remember that one of the hosts is a Tulsa PD officer or
Sticks.
former. Sticks.
But the reason I bring up the school is because it's similar to the school situation where there's no reason to be feeding children at an education outfit, and there's no reason for the policeman to be producing television.
I agree.
Okay, that's it for the exciting moment I had to talk about the mayor and the police chief. More to come because I know you're going to love it. That's the link, leverage, and lock for you right there.
There you go.
Tom McKay with 3D Politics, all three of the Davids tonight.